It is Thursday, March 19th, and you're watching the Sick Podcast. Trust the process. There was a much anticipated NHL debut made last night over in Washington. Of course, we're going to talk about Cole Hutson, what a performance he had, and how does he compare to his brother? A lot of people are confused or curious to know. We're also going to talk about the Chicago Blackhawks today. Okay, they are one of those rebuilding teams that haven't really taken a step forward. What has gone wrong, or has it gone wrong? Are they still on track? We're going to dissect it all. We also have some news coming from the NHL GM meetings in Florida, and we have 3 great mailbag questions in the queue. Snake, it's going to be a fun show as always, and it all starts right here, right now.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Trust the process. The sickest NHL prospect podcast with Snake and Shayne.
With the 5th overall selection in the 2024 NHL Draft, the Montreal Canadiens are proud to select Ivan Demidov.
It's gonna be sick.
That's right, producer Shayne here, joined as always by my co-host Simon the Snake Boisvert. Snake, how are we feeling today?
Feeling great as usual, Shayne, especially when we do trust the process.
Oh, man, I always look forward to it. Every Monday and Thursday. Hopefully you're all looking forward to it as well. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe button, hit like, and hype up the show on YouTube. It does make a big difference. But yeah, I'm excited for this show. Some juicy topics, some interesting things to dissect. And of course, we have to start with Mr. Cole Hutson, who made his NHL debut yesterday with the Washington Capitals, ends up with an empty net goal. It was pretty funny how it all went down. Obviously, Connor McMichael saying, shoot it. And he didn't even put his stick on the ice. He's just like, shoot it. And then Cole's like, okay, well, I guess I'll shoot it in. So gets his first goal. The Washington Capitals win a big game there. But overall thoughts on his debut and what Washington Capitals fans can expect from Cole Hutson, Snake?
Well, actually, we can understand why they traded John Carlson.
That's it. That's make a lot more sense.
I think they knew what they were having in reserve to replace Carlson. I think just like his brother Lane showed exactly pretty much 2 years ago when Lane showed up with the Montreal Canadiens towards the end of the season. Mm-hmm. I think they're both ready for NHL action. I know it's just one game, but usually when a guy is ready, it's rare that he's going to regress.
Yeah.
Look, he's almost 20 years old. He played 2 years of college hockey. He was absolutely amazing last night in the sense that he did not play like a rookie at all. He was very, very self-confident, even on his second shift. If I recall, he basically took the puck away from one opponent in his own zone, and then he carried it. He lost it. He got it back. He made a great pass to one of the Washington forwards. The guy took a good shot. And that was pretty much the story of his game. The zone exits, zone entries. To me, he's going to be a top NHL defenseman in the next few years. At the draft 2 years ago, I ranked him number 14. Maybe it was too low. Yeah.
But he went middle of the second round. That's crazy.
Yeah, he went number 43. And I was very surprised because I was thinking, haven't people learned the lesson that I learned with one of the Hudsons? And that's why I ranked him 14, because first of all, he's a little bit bigger than Lane, but he's not a big guy either.
No, that's
and there are similarities in their game, but they're not identical players. One is not a clone of the other. So I said, okay, I'm not going to make the same mistake. I had Lane ranked around 50th in 2022. I said, okay, Cole 14. I think that will end up being a good call based on that first game, but also based on the last couple of seasons that he played at Boston College. Now, shall we go with comparisons with his brother, basically?
Well, that's a lot of discourse on that on social media, Snake, because you see the Hudson name on the back, you see a left shot, smaller defenseman, right? So the profiles in that sense are very similar, but are they really similar players? Right?
There are
Obviously,
similarities.
They both have the offensive flair.
Yeah,
but they don't technically play the same way, right?
No, I only saw maybe one or two plays yesterday where I could recognize Lane. At some point when Cole put on the brakes, the way Lane does, and then pivots. That's only Lane does it 20 million times a game. Cole only did it once. So I would say that the differences between those two, Cole is a little bit stronger physically, I would say. You can tell. He's a little bit bigger. He's a little bit maybe taller. I've never seen those two next to each other, but he seems to be bigger physically. His skating is more orthodox. His skating stride.
Yeah.
He's faster than Lane in terms of like in a straight line. And he's more of a, I would say, standard type of defenseman. Because Lane is on a planet of his own. What he does, nobody else does. Maybe that's why I called him the gadget player. Because he does things that nobody else does. Cole is more of a standard under 6 foot tall offensive defenseman. We've seen that type of player before. Whereas Lane, we had never seen that type of player before.
No.
But like I say, skating wise, I think he's faster than Lane. He's a little bit bigger. He has the same hockey sense, flair, as you say. But what Lane does better, it's all the moves. It's the hands. It's the moves. It's everything that makes the fans at the Bell Center, go, oh, and ah. And Cole doesn't do that. But he's a great player.
Very effective.
Lane will end up making more points than his brother when it's all said and done at the end of their career. But it doesn't mean that Cole won't be a number one, a bona fide number one defenseman in the NHL.
That's it. Like a true power play quarterback in the same kind of role as Lane. But again, stylistically and all that, technically speaking, they have some differences in their games. But man, like you mentioned, the Washington Capitals have a good one here. Cole Hutson is a special talent that, I got the chance to chat with him a little bit before his draft. Ran into him in Vegas as well. So, I'm familiar with the player and I can tell you just an amazing person as well. But yeah, the player himself on the ice is pretty spectacular. So let's talk about his ceiling now. Okay. Yeah. For Washington Capitals fans, right? They see Lane and they're like, my God, this guy's breaking records left and right. Is his brother going to do the same? You mentioned that, point wise, it might be a little lower.
I think it might be a little lower for Cole.
Overall, could we compare the ceilings of the two in a way?
What's hard to compare is that right now, it'll depend on what happens in Washington. Right now, the Habs, they have established star forwards for years and years and years. Yeah. Some of these guys are like 20, 21. Suzuki and Caulfield are 25, 26, respectively, or 26, 25, respectively. So Lane is in a situation where he's going to get his points because he has a great supporting cast with him. And I'm not taking anything away from him because he makes them better too. So obviously, it's give and take. Whereas Cole, Ovechkin is going to leave soon. If not at the end of the year. They have some decent veterans, Pierre-Luc Dubois. They have some young guys, Protas, Alexis Protas. His brother Ilya is coming. So I think overall, Cole might not have the same firepower alongside him as Lane does, but I think he's going to have a very good supporting cast too. So he's going to get a chance to get his points. In terms of ceiling, look, what's Lane's ceiling when you think about it? 90, 95, and what's going to be Lane's 2 or 3 best seasons? What do you think?
I think he can reach upwards of 90 points. I mean, he's going to be a perennial point per game defenseman, probably some Norris trophies in his future, right? Just your all around like offensive dynamo on the blue line, that fourth forward, if you will. So I think that's really what we're expecting out of Lane, and so far he's on track for that. I think that's why a lot of Capitals fans or just hockey fans in general are curious as to what Cole is going to bring, because at the same level and same age as Lane, the numbers are for the most part pretty similar, right? And the impact that Cole has had, whether it be at Boston University or the USNTDP, pretty similar to Lane's as well. So, that's where the comparisons are being drawn here. And that's why people are questioning what the ceiling could look like. And
look, I'm not an expert with points and ceiling in terms of production, because some of it is a little bit random and it depends on the years. But I would say maybe 70, 80 for Cole. Just a notch below Lane. Just a notch below Lane. That's
imagine you get that kind of defenseman in the second round. That's
no, but look, it's their fault.
Good stuff.
It's their fault.
Yeah,
because they had seen Lane.
Yeah,
I'm not blaming teams for not having picked Lane before 62. Although
that's
62 was maybe a bit low, but I can understand the second round pick. If Lane had been taken 43 like his brother, to me that made sense, because usually that's where these smallish offensive defensemen get drafted usually. Yeah. So, but Cole, I mean, you guys had seen Lane for 2 years and you didn't adjust, especially that Cole was a little bit bigger. You didn't adjust. So 43 was a joke. I remember I was doing a live podcast on that day, and for the second round, and I was like, okay, when is Cole going to get drafted? Because he was almost at the top of my list, of all the available players left. And I'm thinking, and I remember when I ranked him 14th, some fans were surprised that I ranked him 14th, because there was no first round hype around Cole Hutson. Remember?
Yeah,
there was no first round hype. I have all these public lists, here that I printed out, and I could look it up, and there was no first round hype.
Yeah, but he was supposed to go in the 30s.
Yeah, exactly.
That's mostly
in the
what
30s.
It was.
In the 30s. So very nice pick for Washington. I remember wondering at the time if the Habs should have drafted him.
Well, okay, so this was my next question, Snake, because a lot of Habs fans are like, why didn't we just reunite the brothers, right? The Habs could have done it. However, let me reiterate and help people remember how the draft went down, right? So the Habs picked Ivan Demidov at 5.
Yeah.
And then they picked Michael Hage at 21. The next pick the Habs had was in the 3rd round, where they picked Atos Koivu. So essentially, they would have had to pick Cole in the 1st round at 21. So it's Hage or Hudson. At this point, I think Hage is better for the Habs, if that makes sense.
I do agree with you. However, at first, the Habs were supposed to get the 26th pick overall and the 57th.
Yeah.
Because that was the pick they traded to Los Angeles to move up 5 spots. Now, the question is, who would they have picked at 57? We don't know. And at 26, probably Michael Hage would have been gone. I'm pretty sure he would have been gone. So, which means that then if you take Hudson, then, your guy is gone. Your Michael Hage is gone. You take Hudson. So it comes down to, would it have been better with Hudson and someone at 57 or just Michael Hage? The thing is, at the time, is that I have nothing against having 2 offensive defensemen on the same team.
Yeah.
But at some point, when you're playing 3-on-3, when you're playing 6-on-5 at the end, when you're losing by 1 goal, when you have all these power plays, I think one of them is kind of a waste because he has to stay on the bench.
Yeah.
And I know you don't draft for needs, but at some point you also have to think that at the time the Habs knew that Shayne Hudson was going to be there for a while. So if your power play quarterback is 29, then come on, you go for best player available because you never know. But when your power play quarterback is 20 and you know he's going to be there for at least 7, 8, 10 years, then what do? Now, you can always make trades. Cole Hutson's value has gone up since the draft.
Significantly.
And I'm not talking about last night. I'm talking about the 2 years at Boston University. His value went up. Could the Habs have traded Cole Hutson for a better option than Michael Hage? You know, we're extrapolating
we're
now.
spinning the wheel here.
Yeah, we are spinning the wheel. and there was no guarantee at the time if they draft Cole Hutson, that he would become the player that he is.
Yeah.
So to me, I think what they did with Hage, if Hage doesn't turn out what we think he will be, then that will be revisited years and years and years after. But you know what? A lot of fans, that's what they do. They don't comment on the day of the draft, but they comment 10 years down the road.
That's it. Revision.
And then any analyst, any chief scout can be picked apart 10 years down the road if you want to give it the negative spin. So I think right now, as we speak, if Michael Hage becomes what he is right now, what we expect him to become, I think it was the right move.
Yeah.
To not draft Cole Hutson. But I still like to wonder because I'm a BPA guy. I'm a best player available type of guy.
For sure. Yeah.
And Hage was 18th on my list. Hudson was 14th. That's not a big difference. That's not you might as well say
the same kind of tier, right?
Yeah, it's the same kind of tier. So look, I think it's fine for now. So like I say, let's criticize in 7, 8, 10 years if we have to criticize.
That's it. But I mean, just as soon as last night, a lot of NHL teams, a lot of NHL fans were kind of pissed off that their teams didn't draft Cole Hutson, even if they could have. Like the Ottawa Senators are a great example of that. They drafted, I think, Gabriel Eliasson before.
I know. And you know what? Those teams, if I were the owner or the president of the team, I would call the GM and the chief scout to my office, and I would say, what were you guys writing at the time? What are your notes on Cole Hutson? Why didn't you take him? Those are things that an owner is allowed to challenge his team on these things, because guess what? It does happen in junior hockey. So imagine the NHL.
That's it.
It does happen in scouts are being asked. Chief scouts are being asked, why did you pass on this guy?
Yeah.
This is genuine what I'm telling you. I've seen it. So imagine in the NHL, where there's a lot more at stakes and a lot more money involved than in junior hockey. So imagine. And those are things where I would like to hear the explanation, because believe it or not, sometimes the explanation is logical.
Yeah.
It's very logical. Ottawa, who took this guy, they might have a very logical explanation for this.
Maybe it's because they already had Jake Sanderson. Like there's possibilities. Anyway.
Yeah, you're looking for, but again, especially in the second round, BPA. That's why had Cole Hutson been available for the Habs, let's say in the second round, I would have said, go for him.
Right on.
Don't even hesitate, because then he's trade bait.
Right on.
Worst case scenario, he's trade bait.
Exactly.
So that's my take. And I think it's going to be fun to watch Cole Hutson in the next few years.
Absolutely. We're going to be tuned into his, to the next few games this season. Of course, the rest of his career we're going to be paying close attention. Now, Snake, one of his former teammates at BU and a fellow 2023 draftee, Cole Eiserman, signed with the Bridgeport Islanders, not the New York Islanders. So he'll be reporting to the AHL this season. How do you like this move for, first and foremost, Eiserman and then the Islanders?
Well, I think, first of all, Eiserman had played 2 years of college hockey. So basically, it was the equivalent of a junior player who goes back to junior hockey for 2 years. Then he signs his entry-level contract, plays in the AHL. Yeah. So I think the timing was right for Cole Eiserman to show up. Is he ready for the NHL? I don't think so, but that's what the American Hockey League is for. My take on this is that I don't know if it's about leverage. I don't know if it's strategy, but or the fact that the Islanders are in the playoff race. But obviously, Eiserman did not ask or get to play for the Islanders this year, whereas Cole Hutson did. Michael Hage will.
Yeah.
But I think Eiserman is behind these guys. Remember, Eiserman was drafted one spot 20th. Ahead of Hage.
20th. And I said 2023. It's 24. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's my bad.
Yeah.
But yes.
So right now, the rule is if he wants to go to the AHL, he does not sign his entry-level contract now. He does not burn 1 year, and then he goes to the American Hockey League for the end of the season, the playoffs. Sometimes they don't even play. Sometimes they're just there to practice with the team, just there to observe. But I do think that Cole Eiserman at some point will play for Bridgeport. Next year, he has a chance at making the team because the Islanders need scoring. However, Cole Eiserman 3-4 years ago was seen as a possible number one overall pick or number 2 overall pick in 2024.
Yeah.
No one was talking about Macklin Celebrini at the time. It was all about James Higgins and Cole Eiserman, who were both playing for the national U.S. team. And I remember one U17 tournament where, I mean, they were scoring machines, those two.
That's it.
They had 6-7 point games, and it was ridiculous. And then at some point, Eiserman started showing in his draft year, cracks in his armor. Like he was seen as not very useful outside of when he comes down the wing and he shoots the puck, not really interested in the defensive game, not a playmaker, and that's why he dropped to 20th overall. And I also think that he dropped to 20th, but had he not had that reputation from a couple of years before, I think he could have dropped in the second round. Oof. Now, he had okay seasons at Boston University. I can say I was really impressed. But paired up with the right centerman in the NHL, used, properly by the coach, maybe sheltered a little bit, a lot of face-offs in the offensive zone. Look, I think it can work. I don't dislike the player, but I'm just saying that we have to temper our expectations compared with what we had seen of him 3-4 years ago.
That's it.
So that's my take on Cole Eiserman.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. I think we're going to stick on the 2024 draft topic here, I guess, because we're going to talk about the Chicago Blackhawks here. Okay.
Don't you want to talk about the AHL rule for next year since we're talking about Bridgeport?
You know what?
Yeah.
Pause on the Blackhawks. Let's get to that, actually. You're right.
There was a GM meeting this week, and the topic of having 19-year-old players playing the AHL, players drafted from junior hockey in Canada, playing in the AHL at 19, has been a topic. In the collective bargaining agreement, they said it's going to get done. But they have to decide how they're going to do it. And GMs are debating right now. And right now, what they are debating, according to insiders, is, first of all, how many players are going to be allowed to do it? Is it going to be only one player per team? Because there are some teams who say, well, what if I wanted to send 3 guys to the American Hockey League? The problem is that they don't want to deplete the junior ranks anymore. But now what has really, really changed is that if a junior player at age 19, a very good junior player, feels that he should be in the AHL, but he cannot because, let's say, the team cannot send more than one guy, you know what? He's going to jump to the NCAA. So the junior team will lose these players anyway. So I don't think the CHL has much of a say in all this.
Yeah.
And I don't think there should be a limit on how many players you can send to the American Hockey League at age 19 because, again, they're going to fly to the NCAA. Now, but another thing is, do we put a restriction on the rounds? That's another topic that was discussed. Could it be only round one, or rounds 1 and 2, or 1 to 4? I think it's a moot point because I don't think a lot of junior players drafted in the 5th or 6th round are going to be ready for the American Hockey League at age 19. Look, one exercise we'll do in the future, trust the process, is that we're going to take 19-year-old players from junior hockey who were sent back to juniors by their team, because they had no choice, or were kept in the NHL because they had no choice. I'm talking to you, Michael Misa. Maybe Beckett Seneca.
Yeah.
Because Beckett Seneca didn't have a good training camp, but he kept him around. I think we're going to try and see how many players could have been sent to the AHL. I think Seneca and Misa would have started the year in the AHL.
Most likely.
Although Misa is 18. He would have to go back to junior hockey. So forget what I said about Misa. But Seneca probably would have gone to San Diego. And so that's pretty much what they're talking about. I think it's going to get done. It's just a matter of determining how many players, what rounds. There should be no restrictions.
No,
if you want my opinion.
We're on the same page here.
Yeah, maybe a few years ago I would have said, well, it's not good for junior hockey. It's going to deplete the ranks of junior hockey. Now, the ranks of junior hockey are being depleted with players going to the NCAA anyway. So let's do what's best for their career, for their NHL team. Let's put them in the American Hockey League, and that's it. So yeah, in a future episode, we'll look at the guys, the 19-year-old guys who could have been sent to the AHL. Is there a guy next year, by the way, the Habs could send to the American Hockey League? I think we talked about it briefly on Monday on Trust the Process. The only guy they could do this with is Papanekis. There's another guy called McNeil in Ontario, but really forget about it. So for the Habs next year, that rule has no bearing on what the Habs are going to do.
No, that's it. And we remind people that Bryce Pickford is currently 19. So he'll be 20 next season. That rule, again, doesn't apply to him. He'll be in Laval no matter what.
Our guy Pickford is in Laval next year.
No debate about that.
For sure. Absolutely. And you know what? When he gets, I don't. Could he go to Laval after his team gets eliminated? It's very possible.
He signed his entry level, so I think he can.
But on a PTO.
Yeah.
On a PTO, probably could go in Laval, but Medicine Hat is going to go far. So, yeah.
They're a wagon. No, that's it. Don't expect to see Pickford anytime soon. Next season. Okay. The Chicago Blackhawks. Now we're going to dissect this one pretty deep. Man. And if you're a Blackhawks fan, you might want to turn away. No, we're not going to be too mean, but we are going to be very honest. Okay. We're going to dissect the moves and, the rebuild so far, what's gone right and what's gone wrong. Now, it's important to turn back the clock to the beginning, okay? And this all started in 2022. The Chicago Blackhawks entered a rebuild in the 2022 draft because they traded Kirby Dach and Alex DeBrincat the same night. And then Patrick Kane in 2023. So there you go. They've committed to the rebuild. Let's go. Since then, okay, they've finished 30th, 31st, 31st, and are currently 30th this season. So zero progression, all right? And okay, listen, a rebuild can take time. Not every rebuild is the same. The Habs started theirs in 21-22, right? They were kind of forced into it with Price and Weber leaving, whatever, right? 21-22, and now they're on pace to make the playoffs for a second straight year. So there's a pretty big difference there. Where do you want to start, Snake? Are they still on schedule? Have they messed it up along the way? What's going on with the Blackhawks?
Well, if we compare with the other teams that were rebuilding at the same time, the Ducks, the Sharks, the Habs, for instance, I think the Habs, what they had and what they didn't do is that, first of all, they had Suzuki and Caulfield.
Mm-hmm.
And what they didn't do is trade Suzuki and Caulfield. But Suzuki was a superior player to Dach, and Caulfield was is a superior player to the Brinkat, I would say so. But that's not the point. The point is the Habs could have said, we're going to do what the Blackhawks did. We're gonna trade Suzuki and Caulfield, although they're very young. The Habs said, no, they're still very young. We're going to keep them. So that's something that really helped, because right now Suzuki and Caulfield, if you don't put them on the Habs roster, they don't make the playoffs.
Correct.
They probably don't finish 31st, but they don't make the playoffs. Now, the Sharks. Why are the Sharks ahead? I don't think they would be ahead if they hadn't won the Macklin-Celebrini lottery and Celebrini had not become what he's become at age 19. What is pretty much what Connor Bedard did not become, although Connor Bedard is very good.
Oh, yeah.
But
excellent.
Connor Bedard right now cannot carry the Hawks on his shoulders the way Macklin does. So that's reason number two. Anaheim, where are they ahead? Well, they started a long time ago when you think about it.
Yeah,
so
they've been bad for a while.
Yeah, they've been bad for a while. Chicago also did what these other teams didn't do, although the Sharks were pretty much did it. They traded every player away. The Sharks did too. Timo Meier, Eric Carlson, Thomas Hertl, they were all gone. So like I say, the difference between the Sharks and the Hawks right now is Macklin-Celebrini.
Yeah.
The Habs, they already had a base of players, who are still around. 8-9 players from Marc Bergevin regime are still around. Kenny Gooley also, he's often injured, but still he's there. And they had some younger players that had been drafted. Kapanen was drafted by Bergevin. So it was a little bit different with the Habs in terms of the rebuild. Now, getting back to the Hawks. Okay, they were pretty much an expansion team in 2022, pretty much. Now, and they had a lot of draft picks. And what they did with those draft picks, obviously, if you start drafting in 2022, because in 2021, the first round pick of the Hawks was the 32nd pick overall. 32nd. So they really started in 2022. So you cannot expect a lot or that much from players that are 21 years old today and under. But you also have to make good picks. So in 2022, they had 3 first-round picks because they sucked and also because they made 2 trades. They got Kevin Korchinski at number 7, the defenseman. Okay. Well, that doesn't help when the guy is still in the American Hockey League. They kept him at age 19 because they had no choice, because of that rule. He wasn't ready. He didn't have a good season. Then at age 20, they sent him to the American Hockey League. And ever since, he's had call-ups. But I think he played like 4 games this year in Chicago. He's not very good.
Yeah.
I think this is a wasted pick. I mean, maybe he'll become a third pairing guy, but when you draft number 7, you don't want a third pairing guy. At number 13, the pick that they got from the Habs for Kirby Dach, I think that was a good one. They got Frank Nazar, who I think is already a better player than Kirby Dach, or at least he's not as often injured as Kirby Dach.
More impactful, that's for sure.
Yeah, more impactful. So that was good. So I give them good marks for this one. At number 25, they drafted a guy that I liked a lot, Sam Rinzel. I thought he was going to be in the conversation for Rookie of the Year, but he didn't have a good start. He was sent back to Rockford, called up. Now he's fine. I think he can be a second pairing guy. So again, I'm okay with this. That year, they also drafted Ryan Green in the second round, who's with the team, but we're talking about a supporting player.
Yeah.
Now, 2023, they win the lottery, the Connor Bedard lottery, which was the most anticipated lottery since Connor McDavid's.
Yep, I remember.
I think he's been very good. He was injured a couple times. The question is he the type of player who will make everyone around him better? Is he that prototypical number one superstar franchise centerman? I think he's a heck of a goal scorer. I think he has his arsenal of shots is amongst the best in the NHL already.
Yep.
I think he'll be a 100-point guy sooner rather than later. But he needs support. And right now, he hasn't had much support. I mean, if you look at Chicago's roster, and we're going to go through it. We're going through the draft picks now, but we're going to through the supporting cast. This guy, really, I mean...
He's alone.
He's alone. I mean, Celebrini has a better supporting cast, I would say.
No, he does.
Celebrini's better, but he has a better supporting cast. So you see that here. They also had another pick due to a trade. They traded Brendan Eagle. That's another young guy. They traded Brendan Eagle to Tampa Bay. And they got a couple of first-round picks. One of them, Oliver Moore, who's with the team. Again, middle of the lineup player, which is okay if you draft 19th. But, and they have this, another guy in the third round, Nick Lardis, who has 5 goals already. I think he can be another, he's a good scorer. I think he can be a good supporting, complementary, what do you call it? Secondary scoring. I think he's young, but I think he's going to be good. And they have a very intriguing guy in Russia, Roman Kantsarov.
Yeah.
Who is seen by many as one of the top players outside of the NHL. He's very small, but he's a scorer. I don't know what's going to happen with this guy. To me, it's voodoo. I really don't know. Is he going to be Artemi Panarin, or is he going to be Nikita Gusev?
Oh, man.
Yeah, we'll see. In 2024, another year where they had 3 first-round picks. And I think that's where, you know where I'm going with this.
That's why I mentioned this draft as being a turning point. But
they have the number 2 pick in 2024. There's Macklin Celebrini who's gone, but they still control the draft, if you know what I mean. They knew San Jose was going to go with Celebrini. They control the draft. That year, there's a lot of good defensemen available, but none of them really considered a future Quinn Hughes or a future Kel McCarr. You had the Sam Dickinson, Zane Parekh, Zeev Bouillon. And there was another guy called Artem Levshunov, who I thought was good, but not great. Surprise, surprise, they draft him at number 2. So they pass on Demidov, who was the logical choice when you think about it, to play with Bedard. They could have gone with Seneca, although Seneca was a surprise number 3 pick, but still, they could have gone with Seneca, who would have been a very good option. But they passed on Demidov. And that was kind of surprising. I know it's important to build your defense, and you can pass on a possible franchise defenseman. The problem is Levshunov was not considered a franchise defenseman. No draft analyst ever thought that Levshunov was going to be a superstar.
No.
Now, how has he been? Last year, he played most of the season in the American Hockey League because he wasn't ready. And this year, he's played almost every game with Chicago. He has 24 points. I would say that he's not bad. I think he's improving. He's very young. He's just 20 years old, but he has a lot to learn in his own zone. He makes these crazy, stupid decisions sometimes with the puck or without the puck. He would have been. That's one guy who should have stayed in the American Hockey League.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if Reinbacher went to the American Hockey League, Lev Shunov should have gone to the American Hockey League. So I think that could be the turning point. And we'll see in the future. But let's be realistic here. Let's say the Habs draft Demidov.
Yeah.
Is it possible that they wouldn't finish like 30th or 31st? Maybe they would finish 26th. And then this year, the player they get would not be as good as the one they will get.
We're getting deep into it now.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? So it is a fact, because sometimes I see revisionists go, well, if they had taken Demidov and if they had taken this guy and if they... maybe they won't win the lottery in 2028.
That's the perfect one.
Yeah.
What you just said, right, is the KK Brady Tkachuk thing.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
If the Habs take Brady Tkachuk instead of KK, well, do they get, Slavkovsky? Do they get Demidov after? Probably not.
Probably not.
No.
Probably not. Lane Hudson, they would have gotten.
Yeah, that's it.
But yeah, exactly. So it's very easy to say, oh, imagine Tkachuk next to Demidov. And, if they get Tkachuk, I don't think they finished 32nd overall in 2021. Not saying they make the playoffs, but they probably don't draft number one. So getting back to the Hawks, another guy who signed this week, Sacha Boisvert.
Mm-hmm.
He was the second part of the trade with Tampa for Brandon Hagel. So for Hagel, they got Oliver Moore and Sacha Boisvert. Don't know if it's going to be worth it. We'll see. Boisvert is a good offensive player. He's a tough guy too. He was involved in a fight in the NCAA this year, which we don't see a lot. Yeah. I think he can be a good complementary player. And they got a goal scorer at the end of the first round, Marek Vanacker, who was not invited to the World Juniors. I was surprised. And one of my sleeper picks at the time, John Mustard, in round number 3, who's been very good at Providence. I don't know if he's going to sign his contract this year. I think he should go to Rockford. But I think that could be interesting. Finally, last year, they get the number 3 pick overall, Anton Frondell. I think a very good offensive player from Sweden. I think this is a guy who's going to have an impact very, very soon with Chicago. And they drafted a football quarterback, Mason West, who finally decided to commit to hockey. I think he's 6'5". I think, again, probably a possible good supporting player, third or fourth line. And Vaclav Nestrasil, who's playing at UMass right now. He had a very, very good season. He's another 6'5" winger. So overall, in a nutshell, I think that the Hawks, they drafted so many of these middle of the lineup forwards. Some of them will hit.
Yeah, of course.
So if you draft 8 or 9 and you only need like 4, let's say, then you're good to go. Now what they need is stars to go along with the dart. They might have Frondell. On defense, I don't see any stars. They might have a good group of players. I like Vlasic, who's been there. Alex Vlasic, who's been there for a while. I like Renzel. White Kaiser is fine. Look, they might have a good group of 6 defensemen at some point, but there's no superstar.
No.
There's no Norris Trophy candidate. Will it be this year that they pick that type of defenseman? Will it be Chase Reed? So you see, let's say they get Chase Reed and Reed becomes a star.
Yeah.
Had they taken Demidov, they don't get Chase Reed. So that's why it's hard to... when we make these autopsies, of rebuilds, it's hard to tell. Now, About the actual roster, there's not much to say about it,
No.
except a bunch of guys signed for $4 or $5 million for a couple of years. Let's go down the list. Andrei Burakovsky, Tyler Bertuzzi, who's having a good season, probably trade bait soon. Tuvo Teravainen, Ilya Mikheyev, Ryan Donato, Andrew Mangiapane. Look, they're placeholders. Let's be honest. They're placeholders. Then on defense, they have two superstars, two injured superstars, Shea Weber and Ryan Ellis. Yes, they are on the roster.
Yeah.
They are on the roster. And believe it or not, they are not even on long-term injured reserve. They are part of the roster on regular injured reserve. $14 million.
Oh, my God.
Just to reach the floor.
Yeah.
Just to reach the floor. Weber's contract, by the way, finally ends this year.
Finally, yeah.
I think Weber gets a $1 million salary, by the way, because the way the contract was signed in 2012, it was a 14-year contract, and it was really front-loaded. And the last 3 seasons, he was getting $1 million. So you could tell back in 2012 that Shea Weber was not going to be playing in 2026.
14-year contract. That's just funny to hear. 14 years.
Yeah, it's funny because at the time it seems like an eternity. And when you look back, it is an eternity. Yeah. What were you doing, Shayne? You were in elementary school at the time when he signed that contract?
14 years ago, I was starting high school. Starting high school, man.
Exactly. Because you're born 2000, right?
Correct.
Yeah, exactly. So now they made They made a very interesting trade. They didn't really have a goalie of the future. I like Drew Comesso at Rockford. He's okay. They drafted Adam Gajan. Mm-hmm. He's okay. But, at some point, you need a goalie who's a little bit further ahead in his development. They got Spencer Knight from Florida.
Love that trade.
Yeah.
Love it.
Because Florida had gone back to Bobrovsky. They had fallen in love with Bobrovsky again. Mm-hmm. Spencer Knight had personal issues also at the time. Yeah. That was a fantastic trade.
Win-win.
Yeah, it was a win-win trade. And Spencer Knight is signed for 3 more years after this year at 5.8. So at least they have stability in net. And that's it. Now, as for the prospects, we discussed who's coming. What kind of draft picks do they have coming ahead? Well, they're probably going to get a top 4 or 5 pick again this year, depending on the ping pong balls. And as for the draft picks, they have Florida's draft pick this year. But I think it is conditional I think it's protected, actually. The draft pick they're getting from Florida. Yeah, it's top 10 protected. But that would be a pretty good trade.
If they can get the 11th pick.
If they can get the 11th pick, which is very possible right now.
That'd be crazy.
12th, 13th, whatever. Yeah. I don't think they thought when they made that pick, that when they made that trade, that they were going to get a top 15 pick. They probably figured, okay, Florida is going to be good for a few years. This is a late first round pick. So this is very good for them. This is a chance for them to add one of the top defensemen, because there are lots of defensemen. Once we start talking about the draft, you'll see the conversation mostly will be about defensemen.
That's it.
So, and next year, they have Edmonton's first round pick.
Oh, boy.
Who knows with that team?
Boy.
Although they have McDavid and Draisaitl, who knows with that team?
And they got that for Jason Dickinson, man. That's it. Woo!
Yeah.
Now we're talking.
Yeah. Obviously, the pick is protected again. I mean, they're not going to get a number 1 pick overall with this. They're not in deep trouble with that pick. The Oilers are not in deep trouble, but still, it's another first round pick. And this year, 3 second-round picks. Next year, 2 second-round picks, and 2020, 2 second-round picks. I think at some point what happens is probably not this year, but maybe next year or the year after, those picks they're going to start using to get players.
Yeah.
That's why it's good to have money in the bank. But this year, it's another 5 picks. They have Toronto's pick. They have the Islanders pick. So, with Toronto's pick, it means that they're probably going to have 4 picks in the top 40 and 5 in the top 50 or so. So more middle of the lineup forwards to add to that collection. and at some point, they will hit. So honestly, for Blackhawks fans out there, I'm still
be patient.
Fine. Yeah, I know that my colleague Mathias Brunet, I'm not saying he's given up on the Habs, but he finds them way behind on the Habs, the Hawks.
Starts with an H.
Yeah. And he, I don't think he's as confident as I am that at some point the rebuild will work. However, where I do have reservations too, is it going to be cup worthy? Yeah,
that's it.
I think it all depends on future lotteries. I think who they pick this year in the top 5, how what kind of player Frondell becomes. Is Levshunov going to improve enough to maybe not be worthy of the 2nd overall pick, but at least be worthy of a top 10 pick?
Yeah.
But again, if they get Chase Reed becomes a star, then you have your number 1 guy. Next year, you get another high pick, and you're good to go. Then you've caught up on the Sharks, the Habs, and at some point, look, that was the plan. What I really, really like what they did in the sense that they went all in on that rebuild. Kudos to the owner.
Fully committed.
Kudos to Kyle Davidson. Look, they traded Alex DeBrincat in his prime.
That's it.
And they also traded Kirby Dach at 21, but did they know something that the Habs didn't?
That turned out pretty good for them.
Yeah, it turned out pretty good for them.
Yeah.
And I think Kirby Dach, by the way, just as a parenthesis, his qualifying offer, I think it's $4 million this year that the Habs are going to, I don't think he's going to be qualified. They're probably going to renegotiate something at a lower price. But if I were them, honestly, if I'm not able to trade him, because he probably still has trade value, if they're not able to trade him, I would just let him go. I would let him walk if you can't trade him. I think it's time to move on. Look, he's 25 years old, and you can't say forever, well, maybe one day when he's not injured, look, if you look at the guy, he's not a great player. Mm-hmm. He's okay. But at some point, you move on from these okay players who are constantly injured.
Feel bad for the guy, but
that could have been my hot take of the day. Move on.
I don't know that it's too hot, Snake. I think a lot of people agree with you.
Yeah, I think a lot of people agree. But some are still thinking, well, he's just 25. He's been injured. Okay, I mean, give it up, please.
So look, Blackhawks fans, I think the key word here is patience.
Yeah.
Trust the process, right? Kyle Davidson has a plan, and it's a long-term plan, clearly, right? He doesn't want to rush things. But at some point, something's got to give, and the team's got to have to show results. It's not going to be this year, might not be next, but who knows?
My guess is that next year is the last year where they don't do anything, because a lot of contracts will be expiring in 2027. I think this is when they start making moves. Forget about the free agency market this summer.
There's nothing.
I mean, Alex Tuck is the price, and he's probably going to re-sign with Buffalo. So, look, there's nothing in the free agent. I think free agent frenzy, these shows from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. I mean, we have a signing here.
Good luck. Yeah.
Good luck. A fourth liner. So, but I think Chicago might be active in the trade market maybe within a year and a half.
We're going to see trades this summer.
Yeah.
All around the league, we're going to see trades.
Oh, yeah.
And because the free agency market.
Yeah, exactly.
They're going to have more trades. So, it's going to be fun for shows like us to break down those trades. Snake, before we get to our mailbag, of course, a quick word here from our partners at the SIG Podcast. I want to start off with a shout out from our friends at Cheapest T-Shirts. Okay. If you are looking for the cheapest prices on wholesale apparel in Canada, you will find them at cheapesttshirts.ca. They're proudly Canadian and trusted by thousands of customers from coast to coast. that they deliver unbeatable value every single day. You'll always get the cheapest prices, plus same-day shipping, and even next-day delivery, so your order arrives fast. They have over 1,000 products and more than 36 trusted brands like Gildan, Jerseys, American Apparel, M&O, and Comfort Colors. The selection is unmatched. Plus, you can enjoy free shipping on larger orders and a simple, easy-to-use website that makes online ordering a breeze. Get the cheapest deals in Canada today at cheapesttshirts.ca. And of course, a word from Betway, where you can get a deposit matchup bonus up to $300 on your first deposit. Scan the QR code on the screen or click on the link in the details section to create an account and redeem your welcome offer. The offer is only available for new customers. Terms and conditions apply. The offer is not available in Ontario. You must be 18 years or older, of course. Please play responsibly. With that, let's go digging in the mailbag. Three great questions in the queue, and our first one comes from Jay Gagne. Here's a mailbag question. Why do teams let players burn a year of their entry-level contracts so readily? Why would they handicap themselves by having to pay them a year earlier? It's a massive piece of leverage that they just give away almost mechanically. It's worth millions of dollars a few years later. I'd rather have a full year of ELC Hage at 22 than one game of Hage at 19. This is an interesting discussion, Snake. Oh, I think you muted. There we go.
It's an interesting discussion because a few years ago, Shayne, I remember that teams didn't want to burn that year because they figured they were going to have to pay the players earlier. And yes, it is millions of dollars. But at some point, teams have realized that the second contract might not be as costly when you let the player burn a year for one game or 3 games, because then the player hasn't really established himself.
Yeah.
And then if the player hasn't established himself, either his long-term contract will be cheaper than it would have been, or the player will just want a bridge deal to basically get the big contract 3-4 years down the road. So at first, I remember when I saw this, I was thinking, darn, just like Jay Gagne is saying, I'd rather have, the Michael Hage extra year at 22 than at 19. I do agree. But at the same time, what's going to happen is that in 2 years, Michael Hage, if he signs a 7-year contract, because at the time it'll be 7-year contracts, not 8. If he signs a 7-year contract, it's probably going to be cheaper. Look at what happened with Juraj Slafkovský. Slafkovský, they kept him around at age 18. So basically, they burned the 18-year-old year. They burned the 19-year-old year. And then when he signed his extension, he couldn't sign for $10, $11 million. But imagine if they had sent him to Laval that year, okay? And then at age 18, he plays in Laval. Then 19, 20, 21, he plays in Montreal. He has this breakout year.
Yeah.
And he had decided to wait until the summer of 2026 to sign his extension, which would have been possible. He wouldn't be getting 7.6 or 7.8, whatever he's getting. I think it's 7.6. Yeah, so the Habs did well. Lane Hudson. Okay. I understand. Better to have Lane Hudson at age 22 than Lane Hudson for 2 games at age 19. Hudson signed for 9.5. If they don't burn that year, he's eligible for an extension this summer. And he's thinking, well, you know what? I'm going to get 85 points or something. I'm going to wait another year. I might get 90. And then next year he gets 90 or something. That's not 9.5. That's 11.5.
Easily.
12. So that's why teams burn that year of eligibility. I think it took a while for teams to realize or accept that it was a good idea sometimes. And if I'm not mistaken, if you have the player for just a few games, you don't start his free agency clock earlier. I do think that someone like Lane Hudson, his free agency clock would have started only at the beginning of last year, not the year that he played 2 games.
Yeah.
So the first contract ends earlier, but the free agency clock is still the same. It's 7 years. So, but anyway, free agency clock. I mean, it's not baseball. with super agent Scott Boras, waiting for the guys to play their 6 years. And after 6 years, even if your team offers you $50 million a year, you be a free agent, buddy, because you might get 52 elsewhere. This is his philosophy. It doesn't happen in hockey. No. Agents, counting the days before before free agency. It does not happen. So that's what I think of I've changed my mind about the whole thing over the years.
It's a great question, though, and it's a
Yeah.
very interesting topic.
Yeah.
That a lot of people, I think, are curious to hear about. Okay, let's get to our second question. This one coming from Justin. What does Snake think of Zack Bolduc now? I assume he's highly disappointed in what he's seen this season.
Yeah. Look, I really thought it was the steal of the decade for the Habs. Both careers are not finished yet, so Mailloux is having a very good sequence right now. Bolduc is not having a very good year after a hot start. So I'm not going to necessarily pull the plug on the trade already because I'm patient. I'm a patient guy. But so far, yes, I've been disappointed in Bolduc. However, what I've noticed about this guy is that this is his third professional season. His first professional season in the American Hockey League and the Blues was not great. Mm-hmm. So even at the time, I was a little bit skeptical. But then he really panned out last year. So perhaps it's because it's his first year with the Habs. Now, is he going to be inconsistent like this throughout his career? It's going to be one good year, one so-so year, one good year, one so-so year. We don't know yet. One thing is sure, he's going to be waiver eligible next year. So he has to make the team. They have to keep him around. Let's see what kind of contract he gets. It's probably going to be a short-term contract because I doubt the Habs will want to commit for long-term. And I doubt that he will want to commit for a small amount of money long-term. So it could be a 1 year or 2 term, a 1 year or 2 year deal for him. So I'm being patient, but yes, the short answer is yes, I am disappointed.
Yeah, I think we all have to be. Yeah. But again, patience.
Yeah,
he's got the juice. He's got the talent. I'm not too worried. Disappointed? Not worried. There you go. Third and last question coming from Emil Shelbourne. Question: I know Kapanen is a rookie and has 20 goals, but how does a 2C only have 13 assists? What does this say about his potential as a second line center?
That's an easy one for me. And I think it's an interesting stat because usually centermen have more assists than goals. But when you look at Kapanen, and I think this is something that we've already discussed, is that he looks like a winger to me, first of all.
1,000%.
Yeah. The guy, the reason why he doesn't have many assists is because he doesn't make plays. He doesn't create anything. And he doesn't make his wingers better. It's Demidov who makes him better and Slavkovsky for a while. So I think that's what it is. It's he's a guy who, once they have a number 2 and perhaps a long-term number 3 centerman, I think he will move to the wing. He is a winger because he has the traits of a winger. Mm-hmm. He gets open to take shots. He's good around the net. He has a quick release, but he depends so much on his line mates. A centerman is not supposed to depend on his line mates.
Supposed to drive the line. Exactly.
Yeah. So to me, he's a winger, and the best case scenario for me is third line winger. This is not a top six guy. I know he has 20 goals. It's not a good what do you call it? It's not a good chair for him. He's not in the right
Exactly.
situation. It's not his fault. This is the Habs roster right now, as it is, that is responsible for that. But I think he's a third line winger. And then, if he scores 15 goals as a third line winger, that's great.
Excellent, even. Yeah. Excellent. But no, look, I don't understand people who say, oh, we don't need a second line center. We have him. Again, you're just looking at the goals here. You're not actually looking at the game. Yeah. I think anybody who hasn't seen the depth chart or, the lines that the team posts on Twitter before the game and looks at Kapanen play, they'll think, okay, this guy's a winger. Like, he plays on the wing. He's not a center. Yeah. He doesn't even take the faceoffs anymore. Newhook is taking the faceoffs.
I know.
Right? So again, there's no real center quality to his game. A lot of people say, well, he's a two-way player. He's dependable defensively. Is he? Is he really? Like, he's okay on the PK.
On the PK, yeah. He's okay.
Is he really that good defensively? Like, he's fine.
Oh, he's fine.
He's fine. Right, so
he's no Selke candidate.
No, and look, okay, he's a rookie, right? So sure, 20 goals is impressive, but you got to look at how he's getting them, right? How many of them did he create himself, right?
One, maybe. It's always the same goal. It was the same goal.
It was the first game of the season, right? First goal of the season against the Leafs on the PK. He went end to end and created his own goal, right?
As much as Cole Caulfield never scores on an open net, it's true. Yeah. Caulfield finds, exactly, above the shoulder, or as much as Caulfield never scores on an open net. I mean, I think Kapanen's goals they have all been in an open net.
Yeah,
at least half of them. I would say at least half of them.
No, that's it. So look, we're not bashing the guy.
No.
It's just he's not in the right chair, like you mentioned, Snake. If he's your third line winger, I think you're in good shape, and that's what he is.
Yeah, which is better than I thought he would be, honestly. Which is better than I thought he would be. I thought he was a fourth line winger and even maybe a rocket player. So if he becomes a third line winger who scores 15 goals for a guy who was drafted late in the second round, I think it's quite a bonus.
That's it. That's it. Well. Look, some people disagree with this notion. I know Tony is sold on the fact that he's a center. Pierre Maguire also thinks he's a center. So there's good discourse here, right? We're not going to agree on everything, but Snake, you and I agree on this one. I think Emil does as well. If you hope to be a contender and win the cup, Oliver Kapanen can't be your second line center. And look, we don't know what the future looks like. This is his first season in the NHL. Maybe he could develop above our expectations and really turn out to be a reliable center right now from what we've seen in this sample size. No. Anyways, that'll do it for us today, Snake. Anything else to add before we get out of here?
No, let's see each other on Monday.
Absolutely. And well, unfortunately, I won't be able to talk about it, but I'm going to the game on Tuesday against the Carolina Hurricanes. So I guess we'll talk about that game
next Thursday.
What I'm able to see there, but there's no Matthew Schaefer, there's no Macklin Celebrini to scout like you did. So.
There's Kotkaniemi.
Okay, this is where we wrap up the show now. For Simon the Snake Buff, I'm producer Shayne. Thank you all for tuning in. We will catch you again on Monday. Until then, take care.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast, Trust the Process on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.